Welcome back to Tabletop Assault. I'm Ross, and today we have seen the 40k Codex Roadmap for the rest of 2021, and there has been an absolute ton of discussion on it already. I'm just going to list my thoughts here, why I think that they're going in the direction it is, and if it's a good or bad thing. So let's have a look at what was announced. On the roadmap, we see them beginning with August 2021 with Grey Knights and Thousand Suns. Now, I believe these are actually released this weekend, so I would hardly count them to be part of the current roadmap going forward. If anything, if I'm to be brutally honest, I think this is just filling up space. We then have September 2021 with Orcs, now a codex that is in the public domain already. Not to a huge volume, this is now allowing people who didn't get the Beast Snagga version, but we have seen many of the tactics, rules, etc. that are coming out of it. We then have November 2021 with confirmed Black Templar supplement. I think we'll see many people happy with this. Black Templars not really getting enough attention when they only got the Psychic Awakening part. I think them having a full codex will be fairly popular in terms of people who wanted to see this faction be more explored. And then we're given an unspecified amount and or factions for at least a bit of Imperial and also Xenos codexes for December 2021. A bit of a suspicious one for me. December 2021 tends to be battle box sets, where we see big value box sets coming out for the Christmas time. We don't often see codexes come out then. I think we didn't see any 40k ones in 2019, but certainly we did in 2018, I believe. Could be wrong in that one, maybe it was 2017. It's not really a date that we sometimes see codexes, though we did see Thousand Suns get released. It tends to be big items that they want to sell, whether it is battle boxes or scenery, etc., to fill those Christmas presents. Now we come to what I want to do is a bit of a comparison between 8th edition, 9th edition, looking at the amount of books that came out for the codexes in 8th compared to 9th. One thing I'm not going to bring in is the campaign book, simply because I don't believe they add as much as what a codex or supplement might do. They expand on a force, where the codexes, and you could argue the supplements, are the foundation parts of a faction, whether that be, semantically, Space Wolves may be in a codex before, they are in a supplement now. That kind of still counts with when we are looking at these. So in 8th edition, we roughly got to about December 2018. We had 21 books released. I will list them quickly, with Space Marines, Chaos Space Marines, Grey Knights, Death Guard, Admech, Astra Militarum, Craftworld, Tyrannids, Blood Angels, Dark Angels, Adeptus Custodes, Chaos Demons, Thousand Suns, Tau, Necrons, Drukhari, Harlequins, Death Watch, Imperial Knights, Space Wolves, and finally Orcs in November 2018. This resulted in 21 books. 6 of them were Space Marines, 4 of them were Imperial, 4 of them were Chaos, and 7 of them were Xenos. Versus 9th, now I won't really mention the unknown Imperial, unknown Xenos. You might have to add an extra book or two into that one. But we have Necrons, Space Marines, Death Watch, Space Wolves, Blood Angels, Dark Angels, Death Guard, Drukhari, Admech, Adeptus Sororitas, Grey Knights, Thousand Suns, Orcs, Black Templars, and then the unknown Imperial and Xenos ones. Now that works out to be, I believe, 14 books. 14 books, or 16 books if you count the 2 unknown ones that are coming there. So you can see a bit of a disparity difference. Space Marines actually got an increase of books. They're now 7 to 6. Imperials are halved from 4 to 2. Chaos is halved from 4 to 2. And Xenos are more than halved from 7 to 3. Now, there are many reasons for this, and I'll go into this later. All I would say in that one is that, looking a bit more and speculating towards the future, they did mention that it's a brand new codexes for the unknown Imperial and Xenos one. Now that seems a bit strong wording. It could be hyperbole that they're going to go, wow, brand new codexes. My speculation is that they're actually going to maybe do Talons of the Emperor, count that as a new codex, where it's basically the Adeptus Custodes and the Sister Silence becoming the Talons. Fair enough, that would be very cool to see them as a collected force rather than just the Custodian Codex and then the Psychic Awakening brought them together. And I feel, and this may not be a popular opinion, is that they might put Tyrannids and Genestealer Cult into one codex, which They may or may not, maybe I'm just reading too much into this brand new codex. That is a purely speculative area. I think it might make the book a little bit too large to do so, but it's only me trying to think of where could we see brand new codex. There's also a rumour of them bringing in a lot more of the Eldari factions together, where you might see Craft Worlds and Harlequins brought in along with Ynnari. They may come under one Eldari book, which would be again not entirely popular, but Ynnari only have 3 data sheets truly, and Harlequins not many themselves, so it might actually prove popular to bring them all into one codex as long as they've got the right size. It might actually save money rather than having 2 different codexes and a White Dwarf supplement for Ynnari, but I am really speculating there. Surprised entirely to see no Astra Militarum at the moment, and maybe Tyranids. They are going to be, I think, in part of the Warzone Octorius, and I expected their codexes to come along with it, but surprisingly not. So what are the reactions to this so far? It's been largely negative. There's been an overfocus on Space Marines throughout the year. Chaos Space Marines rules lagging behind. Not enough focus on Xenos. And 3 of the codex shown are technically ones that we already either have in circulation or are going to be in circulation within a few weeks, which is not very popular, and all 4 of the codexes we already knew about. We're simply really seeing the dates for the Orc and Black Templar one, then we're promised unknown codexes in December. Keep in mind, Death Guard was promised, I believe, in November, December, and only came out, I believe, in January. So what can we assume with all this, and what can we speculate on? Looking at 9th edition, it's became clear that there is a huge focus on Space Marines. Now, is this because they're the poster boys of 40k? Are they just convenient to update because once you have the core rules, the supplements kind of almost write themselves and making it a lot more easier for them to test play, especially in a difficult time at the moment? And their model range is up to date, with their price tag being a little bit higher than some of the older models out there at the moment. You know, just all these things I think come into a factor that have pushed Space Marines well above. I did agree at 9th edition that Space Marines should just be get them out there and get them out quick, but I feel that with their supplements it has came at the hindrance of other factions. You know, I'd say at the moment specifically Chaos Space Marines, though they have had attention before, they're now beginning to lag behind. Xenos, they have seen an extensive update in their range. You know, we have a look at Necrons and now Orcs. I think they've done a real good job at revitalising the range. I always like it when they try and update HQs or bring new HQs. I'd say in the Necron side they didn't really update the HQs as much in terms of the old models, but they brought new ones, which was very cool. And then the troops they did update and offered a lot more close combat, which was fantastic. Orcs offering a new war boss, and the troops alone I think is fantastic. I really do enjoy the troops. And then the Beast Nagas, I'm actually a big fan of them, so I think there is a lot to like in terms of the new range and models they've achieved. In terms of books, they've not done so well on that side. Now, this hurts Xenos players mainly because Xenos is so spread out. You can't just do part of their faction like Space Marines. If you were to do Space Marines and Dark Angels and Blood Angels, sure, the Space Wolves like in 8th edition did feel left out, but you did feel a bit of an even distribution. Xenos, it's a very difficult one to do. We have seen some areas done well. Drukhari, Orcs and Xenos, I think they've done okay, but there is still many of them feeling left behind, and that's just the difficulty of Xenos being so spread out. Chaos, it became clear that 9th edition is not the edition for Chaos. Chaos did see major additions in 7th and 8th. You had Thousand Suns and Magnus returning at the end of 7th. You had Death Guard and the general Chaos Space Marines in 8th. However, the faction is feeling very fractured at the moment, with this separation of Death Guard and Thousand Suns is making more or less, less Chaos Space Marines in the Chaos Space Marines Codex, if that makes sense. You know, ultimately I always feel weird having Khorne Berserkers and Alpha Legion. I don't think that should be the case. In my case, I think all these ones should be removed, such as Noise Marines, Plague Marines, Rubiks should be removed from all factions bar their Legion, and Black Legion should also get access to them. But I feel that although Chaos have had an update, I really hope that there's going to be a lot more attention to Chaos as a faction bring out. We might see the Demon Primarchs, and then maybe a bit more attention to Chaos Space Marines in general. And generally they'll feel like a much more equivalent to the Imperial side, because at the moment there is quite a bit of a difference. This year, however, I feel is actually a lot more the year of the Xenos. If they manage to get another big update, I'd probably say Craft Worlds, if that maybe towards the end of this edition. I think this edition as a year of Xenos will be fantastic. If they want to help Tyranids, their model range is actually still quite up to date, bar their troops. That's the area that they do need to update. A few more HQs and a lot more small bugs, no more big bugs, would be great for Tyranids. I think they'd be very happy. But in terms of books, both the Xenos lacking behind, but I think Chaos is lacking behind as well. The one major complaint many people have is they want 2 wounds Chaos Space Marines. Totally fine. I'd just say be careful, because there is still a lot of damage 2 stuff out and about at the moment in the meta. I think that the main thing is if they could just have up-to-date Legion traits, up-to-date stratagems, and if they found a way to get those two wounds, it'd be fantastic. But I'd really just exchange to have a decent Legion rule, especially for Black Legion, because fielding Abaddon, it doesn't feel good at the moment with such a terrible Legion trait. And finally, Imperial, we come to AdMech. As an old codex, it was one of the first ones that came out, was really, really good. They had huge additions in 8th edition, and then Adeptus Sororitas had a complete update in 8th edition, and then their codexes just came out in 9th as well. It feels like the old guard feel a little bit left behind. That goes for both the Astra Militarum and the Adeptus Custodes. These guard do not feel like equally represented. I hope to see one of them, which is almost, I believe they're more likely to be seen than Imperial Knights, will be included in December or for delay in January. And if I was to put my money on it, it would be the Talons of the Emperor. So why is this all happening? Why is there such a lack of these codex coming? Well, the first one is obviously the global pandemic, making production, game testing, etc. difficult. Age of Sigmar 3rd edition. Age of Sigmar updated will probably take a lot more of attention going forward. I wouldn't be surprised if we'll see much more of their books coming out than 40k books. So if we see a roadmap probably next week, that'll probably explain why. Campaign books, let's face it, they are unpopular. The day 1 DLC, I think there is a big attention that Games Workshop want to bring the narrative more into 40k, and I think Age of Sigmar, they'll think they did a good job of Age of Sigmar, but the way they're doing as day 1 DLC is not going so well. I think how they did it in Psychic Awakening was not too bad. There was different ways there's things I would do differently, but overall I think they did quite well in that. The stories of Psychic Awakening were fantastic. I think the social media posts on those really did help well. I remember some fantastic stories that were only on social media. Having a site with those collected ones and more narrative would be better than, I think, bringing in campaign books that throw in DLC that people aren't quite happy about. And finally, Specialist Games, Blood Bowl 2nd season, which was, I think, November 2020. Curse City, Kill Team. There's not many of them, but they have taken attention away from the 40k codexes. And that is it for my thoughts on the announced roadmap. Ultimately, I wasn't very happy with it. A lot of the information is kind of stuff we already knew before, and I guess they're just not willing to commit to things far later down the line because of times sort of move where things might not happen. People tend to get more annoyed by that. So maybe in that essence, if they didn't have any solid plans, don't do the roadmap. Simply because people get upset not receiving either new information or solidified information. But we know what's coming up, which is all fine. I think that a bit more honesty in terms of what is going forward would be quite good. The directions of what they want to do, similar in terms of Old World Warhammer, where they give you an idea of Kislev and the sort of map and the factions that are going to appear. I think that would be much more appreciated if they gave us information of what their targets are for Chaos, saying, look, we really want to expand Chaos into separate factions in terms of having maybe Demon Primarchs returning, something that we know this is their plan for the 2-year period, and we can give reactions to it. We can say, wow, we're going to be excited about seeing Demon Primarchs, wow, we're excited to see Chaos expanded on. By being vague, you don't get any feedback, and then when it all comes out and there is negative notes, there's nothing that can be maybe intertwined to try and change them. I know at a company that size it can be difficult, but even giving us hints of what is going to come, you can gauge audience reaction rather than just completely surprise it and then there's no direction to go through other than the one you've already preset. So yeah, it's very interesting seeing this one. Ultimately, I think people are getting a little bit tired with some of the rules in terms of the older codexes, and this roadmap I don't think satisfied people as much as they thought they would. Please let me know in the comments what you guys think. How should they have handled this a bit better? In terms of building up excitement and also conveying new news. Obviously leave them in the comments and check us out on social media where you can see our upcoming projects and things that we're working on. And we'll see you on our Tabletop Assault Battle Report.